The sheep have been brought out. They're right out by the winding peg, first winding peg. The bell's gone. And Hurricane, who worked very well with a 93 in her second run, has done very well.
Sheep are in a nice position there. They've come out to probably 80 metres from the let out, so the dog's got plenty of room behind the sheep.
Yeah. And they're right in the middle of the corridor.
Yes.
So it shows easy to judge as they come forward. It was a good lift, but getting them back in the corridor is difficult.
These are very good sheep for trialling because they've obviously been in a tight-knit mob for some time, and they stick together. That one doesn't break away or one doesn't get left behind primarily. They're good trial sheep in that regard.
And there's a few mad blighters amongst them, as we saw last run, determined to do his own thing. About 4 metres from the delivery area. A reasonable draw, not without error, but reasonable nevertheless. You were mentioning earlier, Pip's thinking of going over to New Zealand to train. That's an adventure. Almost in the delivery area.
Yeah, nice working dog. He's standing off the sheep a good 8 or 10 metres, and yet he's still able to steer them and start them.
The dog has a presence.
You 2, 3.
That was very close to being off course. Not quite. But
There
that was. Yeah. But Pip's walking with a casual walk consistently all through the course. She's getting the sheep back on course. And they were going to run over again. But Hurricane was there to stop them. But they're getting to be a little bit flighty, Barry. She doesn't have quite the control.
Now that he's been put under a bit of pressure, he's a bit jumpy.
Different personality dog, different personality sheep.
Yes.
A very old yard trader called Jim Luce told me once he had a pack of 5 and they all had different personalities.
Well, they would, yes.
And that so did the sheep that came out. And every now and then he found one where they coincided nicely and he won.
Yeah. Very well-known old trial identity told me once that you need 5 or 6 dogs, and every trial you go to you'll have one dog that'll suit the sheep.
I think that's right.
And you can probably guess who that was.
Man formerly from Dubbo. No, the Cobar rather.
Oh, fella lives just out here.
Ah.
Yeah.
About 2/3 of the way down the corridor. Sheep are in the middle.
The sheep are feeding now.
Yeah. doing well to find any grass because
Yeah.
they mowed the lawns to an inch of its life.
And while the sheep are moving around, of course, Pip isn't allowed vary her speed.
No.
To try and counter that, she must maintain her speed from point to point.
Or the same speed throughout the course.
Well, she can vary it from one obstacle to the other, but she can't vary it within the course,
Yeah.
no.
The sheep are still on course, a little bit ahead, but
And that's a pressure point there because it's near the yards too, isn't it?
it is. Coming along nicely to the second winding peg. A little bit far ahead.
Yep.
But Hurricane stopped them, keeping them moving slowly, lining them up for the race. You know, dog trialling has been going on for over 100 years in Australia.
Yes.
One wonders how, when the 3 sheep trial started, they decided on the obstacle of the pen, the bridge and the race, because it seems to be a classic course for many, many years. We're supposed to emulate the work on the property.
I was led to believe it was an attempt to simulate working sheep on a property,
Yeah.
where you quite often have to put sheep up a race, you have to put sheep up into a truck, like they go up a ramp, such as the bridge here, and of course you have to pen them. And the course in Victoria and South Australia has a gap, which would simulate having to put sheep through a gateway. But of course on a smaller scale. Instead of having a 1 metre wide gap, you'd have a 2 14-foot gateways because there might be 300 or 3,000 sheep in the mob.
Go through, yes. Well, certainly the way in which the New South Wales, the 4 obstacles, or 3, race, bridge and pen, have been traditionally kept throughout all the trials I've been to.
Yeah. And apparently it originated between 2 or 3 fellas having an argument about who had the best dog.
Is that so?
Yeah, and they decided they'd set up a thing and decide who had the best dog.
And so this competition commenced. Pip's almost in the ring, and the sheep are going close into the wings of the bridge.
Up they go.
And Hurricane's
Without
behind them to keep
hesitation.
them moving. And they've come off now, nice and cleanly. On course, turn nicely around, tucked in. And Pip's decided to move even so they aren't in the corridor yet. Many trialers stop and wait for the sheep to get to the corridor. But they're now moving through the corridor, catching up with her. Back on course.
And still walking nicely.
They seem to want a snack every now and then.
Yeah, they do. With regard to the speed that Pip is walking, it's not much good walking faster than a sheep can walk, because then the dog has to hunt them up and get them running. Pip set her speed at about what a sheep can walk, and if they just walk along, well, they're all going together.
not quick enough, Hurricane. They've gone round the pen. And Hurricane's got to bring them back. Barry, there were some Victorian judges some years ago that told me that if the sheep went around the right-hand side of the pen, you had to bring them back that way. I thought that was unnecessary. The object is to get them back.
I think now they come back by the shortest
Route.
yeah. Well, she's done a couple of unnecessary ones there.
Lining into the pen.
Straight into
Not
the
crossed
pen.
the line yet, they are. She's walking.
Must be. The judge has positioned himself so as he can see that front line. Well done.
Yes. With difficult sheep, she had a very good run.
Yes. 16.
All the way Pip was walking around, she seemed quite calm and in control, not agitated.
And quiet, not creating a
shouting.
lot of noise.
Our next bettor coming out will be Lee Foster, working Shirley, who's on a score of 183. We'll have Pip Flower's second score in a moment, waiting for the judge to hand in the card to the commentary box.
Pip Flower comes off the ground with a score of 81 added to her other scores.